Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am Phil. I am the Down Under Maker. I just asked Brad to do a command for me and realized it triggered the command. So, hello. We're just waiting for Steve Builds and his raid to come in, so I won't do too much. Today we're going to be doing another YOLO attempt on the box turtle. I've done a little bit of tweaking and I worked out why we weren't getting any filament changes last week. So we will see what happens. The best part about what we're going to be doing today is mostly a revisit of other things that we've been doing over the course of the year. We might get to swapping over the braiding on the umbilical for the ender. We might also do some servicing on my V0. Hi, huge Dino. Hi, Nick. I'm just having a look. Jeff's been in here for a while, and so has Brad. Now I know just how confusing it is to read your text upside down. So we might get onto doing a lube job on one of my V0s because it has got a little bit squeaky as it's doing its prints. And any moment now we should get a raid in from Steve Builds. It looks like he's just winding up. He's checking some radiuses or thread sizes or something on some screws. So the main focus for today is to try and get the roadie truck operational again. My daughter did some nasty things to it and crashed it. And as a result, yeah, the cab could be doing better. Let's go there. She managed to smash that piece there pretty well. So I can reprint it, but I'm going to try not to. Because yeah, it could end up badly, but that got smashed. So I'm probably going to take to that with a hot glue gun, and the electrical was never quite right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the wire for the front suspension, the cable that runs to the front suspension for the motor, and we're going to solder all of this together into a bundle and heat shrink it up and do it the right way, because yeah, I kind of cheated a little bit the first time around. Just having a look at what's going on here. Playing hard. Oh, and Nick, did you notice my hair? I did my hair for you. Let's go to this one. There you go. I've got a haircut booked for later in the week, but I couldn't get it done before stream. So yeah, you get what you get, my friend. And here's Steve and his gang. Hi guys, I am Phil, I am the Down Under Maker. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do so. We managed to scrape up to 257 the subscribers between the beginning of last stream and right now. So the more the merrier. Did I color it as well? No, I did not color it as well, Jeff. Maker My Nexus, hello. Tuxedo's here. Everybody say hi. Come on, give me that interaction. TJ's here. We were just commenting that just for Nick, I actually did my hair this week. I think he's just jealous that I've still got hair and he doesn't, so. The other thing that might happen occasionally during the stream today is my wife has taken 2 of the beagles to the vets for a checkup. And the third beagle, Algie, he's a little bit lost and lonely without them, so he may come for a wander in and say hi at some stage. He's going to get it dyed when he goes to the salon. I am not getting it dyed. This is as natural as it gets. There's a couple of grays and that's it. You're just jealous, man. Hi, Jay Waller. Okay, and Pathetic Puma is here. Brian Birmingham, Nuno's here. Mad Owl's here. Please, everybody who hasn't already, pop away. And Bill's here. Bill was here for my very first stream. Hi, Bill. And the Reverend is here. So please, if you haven't already, like and subscribe. Ranch is here. Let's get on to what we're doing. Just a quick recap for everybody who's joined from the raid. My daughter did nasty things to her roadie truck that we built on stream earlier in the year. So kind of rounding out the year is me trying to do what we can to put it all back together. and fix the wiring that I never really did a good job on in the first place. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the Wagos, which I've already pulled out and thrown back in the drawer because they were just too big and getting in the way. We're going to be soldering up these wires all together. We're going to replace this one because this goes to the front suspension and it's just too thick and gets in the way under there. And I'm also going to replace those crimps with something a little bit more suitable. So let's get onto it, shall we? Oh, the other things we might do is we might as well get on with the print on the Voron. So let's go back to here and turn this on. There we go. I can't do anything about how cloudy it is. The plastic on my printer needs completely replacing. It went foggy. I can't unfoggy it. It's just horrid and there's nothing I can do. So in the meantime, it's just going to be a foggy image. I need to get that off the build plate. That was just there to make sure I was reasonably close to focus. So what we are going to do is we are going to open Orca Slicer. Whoa, screenception. That's not quite right. Let's not go. Let's not do that. Let's go to this one. Where did Orca go? You guys can see it, but I can't see it. There we go. I'm going to open that. We've got it all in the bed. We need to swap this all over to be PLA. For some reason, it keeps defaulting to ABS, but we will fix that sooner or later. Now, I am going to quickly also check these settings to make sure it didn't again lose the machine G code, which was the source of our woes last time. After layer change filament G code. It keeps losing this. Something's bugged in my Orca. Let's go back to me. You guys can't see what I'm seeing, unfortunately, but what's going on is that, let's go here. You might be able to see this. If I do, sorry guys, I have a new screen and some of the screen mapping is a little bit messed up. So let's go across to here. That's not what I was trying to do. And now let's try this, see if it works. Sorry. Nope, that's still screenception. Ah, it's that screen that it's on. Okay. So I can't see exactly what you see, but hopefully it means that you see what I'm seeing, if that makes sense. So what's going on for everybody is Orca keeps losing the, or is it that it's just swapping profiles when I reload it? BT use this. This is the one I did. Discard the changes. Discard the changes. Aha, PLA. That's a good sign. Maybe I just hadn't realized it was defaulting. Here we go. Filament change G code is in place, and hopefully you're seeing that this pop-up box is here because I can't see whether you are, or you can or can't, unfortunately. So let's get rid of this and go back to here and get rid of that and put it on that screen so I can see you guys. And we are going to go double click to maximize, slice this plate if I can find my mouse. There we go. Sliced and print and upload and print. It's thinking. That didn't go, so let's try that one more time. Print, upload and print, and it's uploaded that time. Okay, weird bugs going on with that. I might need to uninstall my Orca and reinstall it. Hijinks! You can see it, awesome. So Lick the button just like a cow did it. Thanks, Nick. Okay, so the Voron will warm up. I'm running it with the doors closed, but I've adjusted the CPAP so that it's a little bit less aggressive, and hopefully it should mean that it doesn't deafen me like it did last week. Like I was in the middle of saying, it's highly likely that we'll get Algie the puppy come in and say hi at some stage, because he's a little bit lost when he's on his own, and you guys can all say hi. Phil, you're looking very professional today. Don't say that. I'm going to screw things up way harder than normal. The first thing I am going to do is get the speed controller out. Speed controller plugs into that port there, and it's hard to mess that up. So what's going on with this speed controller is it's got these plugs on it. They're great for whatever they're designed for, but not for the way I'm wiring things up, and I don't have any more bullet connectors around. So what I'm planning to do is actually cut them off, and then I'm going to crimp on some spade connectors to make this life a lot simpler. So safety squints are on. I'm not going to be able to uncrimp that part, but I'm just trying to make sure I save as much of the wire as possible. 1, 2. Let's put the truck out of the way for a minute. Man, I wish I'd got that table done when I first was building this thing. And let's do some stripping. Like a teacher. The good thing is it's now school holidays, and I'm not back at work until February. Which is a good thing, because it's going to give me plenty of downtime so that I can look at designing stuff for my index setup and my Vivid setup, and the box total hopefully will be ready to print in a minute. We are seeing 56 degrees on the bed, so it's getting there. From memory, I've got it set for 60 degrees for the bed temp. So, in order to make sure I do this the right way around, stripping like a stripper, yeah. I am actually going to do something a little bit sensible for a change. I am going to put a male on one side and a female on the other side of the crimp. I'm pretty happy with that. That crimped down nicely. I'm pretty sure Steve's probably wincing if he saw me use my good Molex crimper for this. But I'm assured that it's supposedly legit to use it. It's the right style of crimper. It certainly did a very nice job. Now, I'm not quite happy with the way it's crimps down the and have I just trapped this in here and ruined it? Probably. You're supposed to be able to click this little ratchet to release it. There we go. It wasn't quite tight on the insulation, and I've a little bit overdone it, so I'm not going to do that again. We will go with doing it another way. So what I've done, just to make it really clear, is I've got a female on one side and a male on the other, which will mean that when I install it in the truck, it's a lot harder to plug it in backwards if I do dismantle anything. Jex obviously said something he didn't want me to read. Okay. And just for now, so I don't lose them, I'm going to put that one on there and that one in there. And I'm going to put my crimps out of the way because I have a nasty habit of knocking them on the floor. Those ones I don't need. A couple of weeks ago, I had to dash out and buy some crimps, but they're the nasty hard plastic insulated ones. And I prefer the metal ones and individual insulation. So, projects. Hi, Alex. How are you? Let's have a look at the next step. Next thing is we probably should be stripping down the front axle and going from there. So the box turtle is doing its thing. It's currently unloading channel 2 in preparation to load channel 1. So it's actually talking to the box, the right things this time. It's just doing that final retract, and now it's loading channel 1. I realize you guys can't see anything at this point, but if you have a look in the top left-hand corner of the screen, that is the build plate. So when things start to happen, hopefully you'll see the tool head bouncing backwards and forwards in there. So I've taken the main suspension mounting screw out here, and now I need to gently reach into the side here and take this screw out here. Now, 3D sets trucks are quite an experience to build. If you have a Prusa, which they optimize their 3MS for, and when I say optimize, I do mean very heavily optimize them for, they're easy. If you're printing them on an other printer, then the experience isn't as easy. So that's the servo wire. I need to pull that very gently out. Helps if I unplug it from the receiver. And that's the heavy gauge wire that I need to replace. So when I built the truck in the first place, I was reading a lot of the 3D Sets Discord, and somebody suggested nice heavy gauge wire, and me just trusting it, went ahead and just did what they said. It turns out it's way too heavy of a gauge, and the strand count is way too low, so it just became hard work. So what we're going to have to do is unsolder these 2 points here, and then solder on some much lighter gauge wire, which will be much more flexible and make life a lot simpler. So the first part from memory is to take that screw out. It looks like we have a first leg going down, so that's on track. Now, I can't watch that and talk to you guys, so they do print okay on a Bamboo A1. Okay, it's good to know. The thing is, when you do that, Nick, it's they don't name things the same, and they don't put them in even in the same, necessarily the same menu. Okay, we've got the first. Oh no, it's not the first filament change, it's just the buffer doing its thing. CPAP's kicked in. Cover is out, so I'm not going to dismantle this any further than I have to, and I can now quite easily get to the wires I need to solder. So let's... Where are my helping hands? I had them yesterday. I was doing some soldering. I must have put them away. How can I do this easily? With the OmniFixo. My kids got me the OmniFixo for Father's Day this year, and it has been awesome. I've used one before a couple of times, but I had to give it back. So when my wife was unsure what to get me for Father's Day, this was what I asked for. Hopefully that should be enough to keep it. You guys can see what's going on. That's a good thing. Right, just warming up the soldering iron. We are going to need some flux. We are going to need some desoldering braid. Now I have total loss air conditioning here. So basically we have a 2.5 horsepower fan, which just blows air through the house, through the air conditioning system and out the windows that are already open. So I don't really have to worry too much about ventilation while I'm soldering, but if you're one of my students watching this, always make sure that you use good ventilation. What did I miss? Oh, Havoc, all that you missed was Nick complaining that he has no hair, and that I do, and I don't even have to dye it. Yeah, it's summer down here. It's currently 31 degrees Celsius, so almost heated bed temperature, and it's only just before 11 a.m. Up until the lead up to Christmas, we're probably only going to get a maximum of about 35 degrees C, according to the long-range forecast. But after Christmas, the long-range forecast is saying probably mid-40s, which is going to be fun. Now, I know you can't see very well through the chat, but you can see that I've got my soldering iron going on over there. I'm just going to see if I can do this without flux. It's not working as well as I'd hoped. It's probably the wire is actually sucking all the heat up. So I'm going to snip that there. Snip that there. And get rid of it so it's not a heat sink. We're just in the middle of our second color swap, and it looks like things are going nicely. I can just make it out on the corner of the screen here. We have an algae beagle. Would you like to say hi to everybody? Come on, little man. Up. This is our beagle, everybody. Hello. Say hi. No. There you go. He'll wander in and out and do his thing. He just wanted to make sure that I'm still here. Beagles are very much pack dogs, so if you separate them from the pack, they get a bit fractious. Oh, that was so much easier. Tiny drop of flux and not having that wire sucking out all the heat, and it just melted immediately. Tweezers might be better for this. Sorry, I just whacked the microphone. There we go. Algie, everybody says hi. About that much. Actually, let's not scrimp it. Let's go a nice long length. Flux really helps. Everybody remind Armour 3D Printing when you visit his streams to use flux. He went out and bought some flux, and He was still having difficulty with the soldering, he reckons, so. Just say Phil says flux is better. Now, do we remember which way around it was for red and black? I think... Uh-oh. Something's not quite right with the box turtle. Oh, it's recovered. Yep, it's recovered. That tool change is going to take a while, I think, but it has recovered, so we will go with it. Now, for tinning these wires, I'm just going to slot them into the end of the needle to get a little bit of flux applied to them. And this is a trick I always show my students. Just tuck the wire you're trying to tin through the middle of the wire strippers. That seems good enough to me. Now, from memory, it's this way around. If I'm getting it wrong, please tell me. Both the wires were red. No, they're... One side is black, one side is red. I'm going to go with this. And if I get it wrong, we can always swap it back. It's not the end of the world. One. Two. I'm just checking what the box turtle is doing. It's now loading channel 2. So hopefully, I'm just monitoring it visually. It's pooping. And the purge is going successfully. The pink is gone and it's now gray. I'm wondering if it's maybe chipped the cutter. I think one has a black strip on the side. Yes, it does. So I'm hoping, Nick, that I've got this the right way around. And if I haven't, well, I can always swap it at the other end. In fact, I might be able to tell by doing this. Give me a moment. Nah, you just can't see. And that retract is going fine, so presumably it was just a temporary thing. And everything will go hopefully back to as it should. Let's pop that cover into place. Now we need the arm. The arm goes which way around? That way from memory. And yep, it snaps into place, so I think I've got it the right way. Either or I've just broken it. You rewound the video and it's really hard to see. Thanks for looking, Tuxedo. just finger tight. Those of you who watched that stream where I was putting this together, remember I managed to crack one of these during the first attempt. Now, the reason I know that there's two very different experiences printing this on a Prusa versus not, this was printed on my Voron. Well, Vorons. I printed some of it on one of my V0s and some of it on my V2.4, which is now box turtling. And just making sure that all lines up. Yep, that's all looking good. And the night and day experience between the printing for this one and printing for my little guy's version. Where have I put that? It's here somewhere. It was a night and day different experience in terms of the fits and tolerances because of the tweaks they do in the 3MF file that are specific to Prusa Slicer. Now, the major difference between the two is that the one for my daughter, she's 4, hers is radio control, whereas the yellow one, which is my little guy, he's 2. That's more like a Tonka truck. It's push along. I've shipped all the I didn't bother putting the motors in the first place, and I've fixed the front suspension so it points pretty much straight, and he just pushes it around. He thinks it's amazing. And his have stood up a lot better. These are 12-volt motors, but no, actually, they're up to 24-volt motors, I should be precise. But they recommend only putting 12 volts through them, otherwise they get pretty damn hot. And the other weird thing about this particular set, let me see if I can bring this up for you guys. That's the right one. There we go. Hopefully it'll load. Here we go. Okay, so 3D sets. This is the one I wanted to build, the yellow one. You've seen it. If you buy this, you also get the parts for this one, the flat nose version. And they're both the same price. But if you buy this one, you don't get the yellow one's plans. It's weird. There we go. So, yeah. So actually, for the same price, I managed to get both of them because you actually need lots and lots of files out of this set for the other one. And for whatever reason, the 3D sets guy just can't be bothered setting up the plates properly. And the plates are really confusing and don't match the manual. But just as a warning, if you guys do decide you want to build one of these trucks, it's a great fun build, but the manual doesn't match. $100 worth of bearings. Holy crap. And Lego has got crazy expensive. Now, for those of you who haven't built 3D sets or haven't watched a build series on 3D sets, there's a number of parts that they use which are Lego components, and it makes perfect logical sense. I should probably swap you back to that one. It makes perfect logical sense to use these Lego components, things like the tires. You can print them in TPU, and there's files to print them out of TPU, but why put yourself through the misery, frankly, of printing them? And the bearings as well, they're hard to find in some cases, and you've got to hunt around 5 different manufacturers to find all the bearings that you need. So you order those a couple of bits online. Lego has now taken over the website that was where you ordered all these extra parts from, Bricklink. Before now, you would go onto Bricklink, you would find somebody who's bought a whole bunch of Lego kits on discount, parted them out, and then you would buy individual components that you specifically needed, like the tires or wheel hubs or whatever you specifically wanted. You can't do that anymore easily because Lego bought Bricklink, and then all the countries where these vendors were, they booted off Bricklink. Yes, Tuxedo, I agree that the cast tires, especially the Lego ones, you can't beat them. But Lego is one of the biggest tire manufacturers in the world, apparently, and it's the reason. Cast molded, I know exactly what you meant. So yeah, Bricklink is now not necessarily going to be viable for getting the parts for anybody who's not been monitoring what's been going on with all of that. Lego took control of the website, and then within a month, they basically booted off 50% of the countries where you would be buying this stuff from, places like India, Malaysia, Brazil, and a bunch of other South American countries, where they were obviously getting parts a lot cheaper than we could, and then parting out the kits. They all got kicked off the platform. So some of these guys were actually doing it for a living, and they've lost their livelihood as a result. And it's not like it was hurting Lego. They were still getting their income. Now, feed that through there. Feed that one through there so that got a little bit of separation. I don't think that it really matters, but it's just so they don't tangle. Now the tops of the 3D printed springs go into grooves, so I'm just making sure that I don't trap the servo wire in the wrong place while I'm threading that in, and I'm just snapping that into place. Screwdriver. Actually, I'm going to do that top main mount first. Where are we at in terms of likes, everybody? How many viewers have we got? And how many likes have we got? Remember, Santa doesn't come to those who don't like streamers' videos. Ooh, spider. Come here, little guy. No, I'm going to crawl that way. That's fine. I'm just trying to feed these springs into the right slots. That's already in. Sorry, I'm not, it's off camera. $38 watching, 26 likes. So there's 12 kids who aren't getting a visit from Santa at the moment. Come on, guys. I am Santa, I concur. Like the stream or get reindeer poop. I think that the screw has got pushed back into the hole. There we go. So what had happened was the screw had just pushed back inside the hole where the spring pushes into, and it was preventing the spring from sliding into place. So that's all nicely done. That cable's not going to snag on anything, and let's flip it over without destroying everything, hopefully. Wire, 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 wire. Aha! Let us find a power supply if we can. What power supplies have I got floating around? Nothing safe. I know what we'll do. or do nasty things with the XT plug. Jeff, be nice. Don't mess with Santa or you will learn how we do it. So what my plan is I'm going to stuff the wires into the XT connector, which goes into my battery pack. So that's forwards. Yep, that's forwards. So red on the left is forwards. And red on the left there is backwards. So I did it backwards. Let's do something sensible about this. Where's my heat shrink? There. Now, for those of you who are new to my channel, I teach high school science and engineering. And the way I try and do things is I try and do it as if I'm teaching to my students because it makes me less nervous. And I try to do things the right way wherever I can. But I'm not going to dismantle all of that suspension again and change that wiring around. That's too much like hard work. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to pop some heat shrink on that vaguely looks like the right colors. See if this one fits. To try and hopefully demarcate that I've done something silly. So that goes there. That can go back in the box. That can go back in the box. That goes in that one. And I'm going to use some of that one to make it less ambiguous by making it more ambiguous. So let me explain. Compared to these wires are backwards. It was a 50-50 gamble, got the gamble wrong. What I'm going to do as a result is I'm going to put some heat shrink down there, well out of the way for now. And I'm going to put some yellow heat shrink, because I don't have the right size in red, onto this black wire. And I'm going to put some black heat shrink wherever I put it. I've got plenty more, so it's not a big deal. Some black heat shrink onto the red wire. And I'm going to quickly heat blast this so that it is all nicely looked after. That'll do. Now, we've done this before, and I know that my noise reduction is pretty good in my noise cancelling. You guys should barely hear this, if at all. And it sounds like Mrs. Maker's just got home with the other two dogs, so Algie should be happier now. Sorry, Aussie, I'll reply to you in a minute. Just wait for this to shut itself down. Okay, so I teach high school science and engineering. That can range from biology and earth sciences all the way through to physics, chemistry, and all that sort of stuff. But I prefer to teach engineering, which is basically like having the channel but teaching kids to do it. It's a lot of fun. A lot of my students are doing this, doing engineering for uni-bound or college-bound if you're in the US entry. Just having a look at what's going on. Box Turtle still seems to be running, so I think we might be on a winner, fellas and ladies, if they're only in the channel. One of my big things when I'm teaching is I teach engineering from basically middle school through to like, the American system calls things weird names, and I don't quite get why. But basically, all the way through from middle school all the way through to seniors is what I teach. And start out with very basic stuff like laser cut acrylic to build a catapult, and then we've got a little servo that we program with Arduino code to an Arduino code to just fire the catapult. All the way through to some of my uni-bound students a couple of years ago. One of them designed what he described as a drink maker, and on paper and how he wrote it up was, hi Miko, how he wrote it up was, it was to make orange juice and water, or pineapple juice and water, to, like the dilute your own drink kind of stuff. Except for some reason it needed 4 dosing pumps. So we all, year 7 to year 12, exactly right. For some reason it needed 4 dosing pumps, 4 peristaltic pumps. I think I've got one here I can show you. No, it must be in one of my other boxes. No, somewhere around. 4 peristaltic pumps. And these pumps, he needed 4 of them because he was obviously going to be mixing cocktails with it as soon as he got it home. Not for me to judge. He turned 18 before he got to take it home. And in Australia, the legal drinking age is 18, so no longer my problem. So where are we at? We are at the point where we need to join all these wires together, and we need to then crimp it all together. So how are we going to achieve this? I think we're going to cut these, both these a little bit shorter to get them a bit more manageable. And we are then going to shorten them, make them manageable. We'll join on a piece of the thinner wire that I just did for this one, and then we'll do that all into a one soldered wire and then a crimp. I probably should have cut this a bit shorter before I did all this nice work on the end, but stuff happens. Yep, that's going to be the best way, I think. So let's cut this a bit short, somewhere there. There to do a match. Automated bartender, yep. Now this kid was smart. He also designed in temperature management. It was in his software. And he also designed it with a power supply which was capable of 300 watts, which was way more than the pumps and everything else needed, because he intended to get himself one of those, forget what they're called, the bimetallic plates that do the cooling, Peltier cooling. He planned to do Peltier cooling to chill whatever was going through the system as well. Then there was another student, he was really into his FPV drones. He designed a timing gate that could actually track the drone when it went through the loop. He built a hoop about 2,400 diameter, 2,400 millimeters, that is. And he had it that when the drone passed through, it generated a spike from that the software could detect on an analog digital converter, and he used that as a trigger, which was very smart because it was basically using the background radio waves that are already in the air from things like cell phone towers as like a medium, and then the sudden change in that was what the system detected. I will check to see if you have them set right before you solder it all up. We've already done that, Ozzy. These two we know match, and these are wrong. So what I've done is I put heat shrink on to sort of match, so I know which one the black is to go together. So let's just check this and this. I'm just thinking, would I be better to crimp this? I don't think so. No, crimping this at this stage would suck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tin all this. Where are we at on this box total? We're about 35%. I might need to turn up the soldering iron. That's a fairly regular thing for me to get asked about the soldering iron. It's 25 years old, as I got it when I was about 20. And they've been off the market for most of that time, but this is still the original tip. The tips on them are amazingly good. And when I did some digging to find out if I could get replacement tips, it turns out that the tips are, you can only get them from commercial suppliers for commercial use, and they're about $80 each Australian, so about, what's that, about 55 US each. So it's just not worth doing. I'd be better off throwing it away and buying a whole nother soldering iron at that point. So those are all pre-tinned. Now for those of you who don't know who the Aussies are here, we've got Mad Dog and Miko, who are both Aussies. They're not local to me. They're over on the far side of the country. Aussie, I'm assuming that you're also Australian, but we haven't had a chance to chat, so I don't know. And here's Dave. For those of you who don't know, go subscribe to 3D&T Printing. Dave is awesome. His wife Terry is much better than him, though. So again, I'm going to do the wire crimper hack for doing the tinning. Soldering iron, solder. I've already pre-fluxed these. Oh, you're in Victoria. We won't hold it too much against you. Wrong side of the country, you guys. I have a nasty habit of hiding things underneath whatever I'm working on. So if you see me lose something underneath, just remind me where it is. So that's going to need some heat shrink. I'm just wondering what's going to be the best way to insulate this and keep it tidy. Now, for what if you can just make it out here, I'm actually using something called hemostats. They're like tweezers and scissors combined. They've got a little ratchet clip which holds them closed, so that they actually grip things nice and tight for me. That's nice. Now, the other thing I'm going to do to prevent myself burning my fingers is I'm going to use tweezers because what the tweezers also do is they prevent me dropping the heat shrink over the joint prematurely. And now for the heat gun. Now, for those of you who were wondering what's going on in the top left-hand corner of the screen, that's the box turtle that I worked on about 8 months ago on stream, and finally got everything all tuned and sorted out so that it now works. And so far, so good. Although me talking about it like this has probably just jinxed me. Just swapping over to the positive cable. Let's put a bit more solder on them to join them together. They've slipped. You know, deep down you want to throw a 6 series lipo in there and pull the throttle. I would like to do something hardcore with it, but it's for my daughter, it's not mine. Maybe if I print one for myself, Dave, we can do some crazy crap with it. Okay. Now we're going to need that. Stuff that onto there. Use the hemostat to hold it away this time. Actually, no, that was a mistake. If I undo that, they'll probably pop when I do the heat. And I'm just going to need to massage this all nice and straight. tidy it up a little bit. That's actually not too bad. And again with the heat gun, I should already have this on my audio mix if I can see for you guys. Success and 3D printed don't mix. I could make it mix. I teach engineering. There. Spontaneous, unplanned disassembly. That would be the CO2 racers we build. At school, one of the other teachers has a project for, ow, that's hot. I just whacked the nozzle on the heat gun. He has a project he does, I think it's a woodworking course. And he builds these cars and they hollow out the back of it and they put these, what we call sparklets, little CO2 canisters you use in the carbonating drinks. And they puncture them and the car shoots like a rocket. Well, it basically is a rocket. I might need to disassemble that in a minute. The radiator grill, oh, wrong way, Phil. Radiator grill's popped loose. So what we've got going on here is we have front wheels and back wheels. Let's just double check these before we go any further because it's not going to hurt. That goes backwards. That goes backwards. So they all now are pointing in the right direction. Well, the same direction at least. So what do we need to do next? We need to join those two sets of wires together and we need to join those to the speed controller. I am thinking that all that tinning I just did is probably unnecessary and I might actually crimp both of those wires into the same. No, Phil, don't do it. That's the bad way to do it. I'm second guessing myself yet again. You know what? I'm going to see if I can crimp this and get this right the first time. If I can't, then we're going to do it the proper way. So we need those ones. By Jove, I think I did it the right first time. Except you know what I didn't do? Number one, I didn't put heat shrink on it. Number two, that failed already, so that's not the right way to do this. Let's trim that off. Now, most of the fail was because I was trying to scrimp on how much insulation I'd stripped off. So number one, I'm stripping off more. Chad's back. Don't be a Dave and hit the thumbs up. Thanks, Dave. Dave, we were saying before you got here that Santa doesn't visit boys and girls who don't hit the like button. These terminals are sharp when you're doing them with bare fingers. That's better. Dinosaur. Please explain. Pink dinos forever. Is this Dino Dong again? Don't ask. So it is Dino Dong again. Now, I'm doing this all backwards. That needs to be a red one, Phil. Let's keep this all color-coded, do it the right way. It was very pleasing. I'm guessing it's very lady satisfying. I'm just trying to massage this heat shrink into the right spot. That's why I don't just pan around the cameras. Okay. All right, again, I'm going to use the heat gun, because why not burn myself another time? Could have done a better job. Not going to bother. That needs... Now, if any of my students are watching this, what I've just done would probably only get you a C. Because it's lazy and it's not exactly the way it should be done. Yes, this is the 3D sets I built originally. Hi, Steve. Phew, I got away with doing all my dodgy stuff before Steve turned up. So what happened, Steve, was my daughter decided to play a little bit rough with this 3D sets truck. And it needs a bit of a rebuild. That was much better than the first one. And in the top left-hand corner of the screen, that's the box turtle. I'm not going to say any more than that because I don't want to jinx it. Yeah, Steve's the master. If you want to watch 3D sets get built, Steve's the guy to watch. Believe it or not, after what I said earlier, I would still probably build another 3D sets kit. It's just that now I would have access to the process to do it the right way, right from the beginning. Because as I mentioned, printing it on a printer that's not a Voron, not a Voron, a Prusa, is a pretty miserable experience. That is going to need its own heat sink. I think I may have ordered the wrong kind of covers for these. The Sakura, okay. I'm not happy with that one. That's going to get a little bit more heat shrink. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Jeff is about to build his first Voron, and he's just doing dotting the I's and crossing the T's for everything he needs to get it right the first time. Have a good one, Jeff. And my DMs are open, man, whenever you need any help. That's a much better job. That noise cancellation is really good. I can talk to you with the heat gun right at my chest, and it cuts it all out. So yeah, that's pretty good. That's looking a lot more professional. It's also flipping hot, so I'm gonna do that like that. So what let's move this over a bit. I keep migrating across my desk a bit. What I'm currently doing is just taking off the old VHB tape off the bottom of the speed controller. Rubbish box is there now, Phil. Good time to break out my specifically bought for this purpose snippers. So for those of you who might be wondering what these are specifically designed for like Tamiya and Airfix and those kind of plastic kits. We've got to cut the little piece of plastic out, the little surround. You go snip, snip, snip all the way around just to release it from what they call the sprue. And they are also amazingly sharp and good for things like VHB tape. So where are we at? We've got the VHB tape on the speed controller. Oh no. Mobile Raker says there's an error. What's going on? MCU shutdown timer too close. And this is what happens when you're testing out a firmware. Let's see how far we got. It's about, well, let's measure it. The print is supposed to be 6 millimeters tall, and we got to 4 millimeters, so it was not that far from the end. This is not a box turtle issue. This is I need to install the latest version of Linux on that controller issue, because it's running the 6.1 kernel, and the 6.1 kernel sucks for this timer too close error. So it was 2/3 done, and it would have made it, I think, apart from that one time it stalled retracting the pink, which I'm guessing was probably the filament cutter probably needs replacing now. It was so close. I'm going to call that, if you guys don't mind, the box turtle is working. Woohoo! Because that is most definitely doing its job, and that's what, doing the math in my head, that would be 60 odd swaps. So yeah. And that, kids, is why we don't update Clipper. It's not a Clipper issue, Nick. It is a Linux kernel issue. So that's going to go there. That plugs into there. That needs to plug into the receiver. That needs to plug into the receiver. The Linux host in my Voron at the moment is something I was sent by a Taiwanese manufacturer. It's actually my first thing I've been sent because I'm a streamer. Can't talk about it because of NDAs and stuff, other than to say it runs the 6.1 kernel. And I always knew in the back of my mind that there could be a risk, but I was hoping. So from memory, that one goes there, and that one goes there. In fact, I have the manual for this here, I think. This might just be for the transmitter. Yeah, it's just for the transmitter. I was hoping I had the receiver manual sitting around here somewhere. I do have the transmitter there. Not finding it. Ah, it would help if I plugged it in. Found the receiver. Okay, so it's all in the right direction. Let's switch that off and switch that off. And then we need to work out putting this all back together. First of all, what we're going to do though, is we are going to turn it all around so you guys can see what I'm doing, because I keep going the wrong way and disappearing off camera. I'm going to take the fender off, as you Americans call it. And I'm going to pop that radiator grill back into its spot. And now can't see it because it's behind the Voron. Let's turn that off. There we go. Little spider's back. Hi, spider. That's in. So what I'm going to do after the stream is I'm going to rip out that controller, the Linux host rather, on the Voron, and I'm going to swap back to a Raspberry Pi 4, and I'm going to do another print, and I will post pictures, because I'm confident now that the box turtle is sorted. So let's tuck that there out of the way. So the last part that I was going to try and deal with was this. What she said happened was Ryder, my 2-year-old, thinking this was exactly like his truck, which is printed with Voron settings, 4 walls and all that, and 40% infill and stuff, 4 walls and 20% infill. He came and just leaned on it and it crushed those 2 pieces there. But short of reprinting that whole bottom plate, I don't think I can do much about it. Right, that is all put together. I think I can turn the soldering iron off now. But what we do need to do is take the tray off so that I can put the 2 screws into the back of the truck cab. Dad, this truck is weak. It's the weak sauce. Yeah, RAM prices at this point, Nick, are unfathomable. I think the easiest way to take the tray off is going to be to take the cab away again. Oh, there's some damage I didn't know I had. This piece here has shattered. Now I do have some of these wishbones, I think. Or did I just throw them all out? I think I kept them. Sorry guys, I'm just looking and hoping that I've still got that wishbone set aside. That's not it. I'm going to have to print a new one, I think. That's not the end of the world. So I'll just show you what's happened in detail if I can. There's a ball joint here. The loop here is a ball joint. And that is supposed to be sitting on top of that ball joint. And it's not currently sitting on top of that ball joint, it's all shattered. So that might be what she was trying to explain to me and I didn't quite understand. There we go, it's supposed to be there. That's all broken. So that's going to need a complete reprint of that part. And that one's broken too. So 2 new wishbones are going to need to be printed. Do I need to reprint that one while I'm doing it? That one's all intact. So I think what he's done is he's come and landed with all his weight on it and it's smashed. Okay, I can do that. But in the meantime, we can do the other parts. Let's just quickly take the tray off. See, that's not how you take the tray off. To take the tray off, you have to... Oh no, you can take the tray off this way. One. Two. Three. Oh, smash. If you guys get to meet my 2-year-old at some... Oh, some of you guys have seen him. He is now at the Hulk smash stage. About 3 or 4 months ago, my mother-in-law decided at the last minute she couldn't look after him. Which is not the end of the world. She's got a life. She got sick, I seem to recall. So he actually came on stream with us, and he was blowing kisses to Keela from Lee Marie. Now these are supposed to be M312s, but M316s will work just as well. And I've got way more M316s. He was helping you stream one time. I think we were building the truck, weren't we? There we go. Now there's 2 ways to secure the cab. You can screw it on like this, or you can slide the seats inside, forwards and backwards. The tolerances on this print were never any good for the sliding to work, so they work okay on the yellow version. Steve, if you're still around, you missed my a little bit of a rant that I had. When Lego bought out Bricklink, they've basically made it unviable to buy parts from Bricklink for most of what we do now. So it's all DIY tires now. All right, let's see if we can get this tray back on. Migrate it down the desk again. No, this is just screwing into plastic. Just buy the L, Brad, just buy the L. If I was you, I would wait now. I wouldn't actually buy one right this moment. I'd wait for the indexed up kits to come out. So that's all there, and there was one screw I saw a minute ago. There. Now I've put the driver down. It's presumably behind the truck somewhere. There it is. Sounds like a good birthday present to me. And I'm again behind another picture. Get rid of that, and that. Let's turn that camera that way. And it's died again because it always does every time I move it. No, not that one, the other one. There we go. That's gonna need pliers. Just because my fingers are too fat. There we go. So what I'm doing, for those of you who weren't familiar with the kit, is there's a mock-up hydraulic ram that is part of the build, and I'm just putting the top pin in through the ram so that it goes up and down when you do the tilt on the tray. 3 builds lined up right now anyway. There we go. So that's all in place. That's all in place. The cab is rock steady. Now, let's check what I've got loaded in the cruiser. Because while you guys are here, I've got ABS. Yes, that's ABS. We may as well start these prints so I can have it ready before she gets home from school. Now, I had mentioned on somebody else's stream, I think it might have been Penguin's. Speaking of him, Penguin Makes, make sure that you like and subscribe him as well. Along with Projects in Dad's Garage, Steve Builds, and 3D Printing, and Maker My Nexus, and all of my other awesome streamer friends. Where was I going with this? I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, make sure you go and like and subscribe to all those people. So that's there. ABS is loaded. Loading filament, it'll do its thing. Velocity Projects FV01 3DP F1 car project looks cool, and the FV24 is posted a link on the Discord, Mikhail, and we'll maybe have a look at that for a project for the new year. So now we're freed up. Let's have another close look at that. That is printing really nice. And like I said, I'm very confident to now say that the box turtle is working. Meantime, I need minimize that for a moment. Bring it back now. 3D sets roadie. So that's what I need there. Okay. Let's go to that one. Let's swap to that one and launch Prusa Slicer. Put Prusa Slicer on that screen and turn off Walker. Something's not quite right. Ah, that's what I'm seeing. That's all right. Would you like to save before continuing? Nope, go away. Let's go back to here. Aha! Now you can see what's going on. That's not what I'm trying to do. The new monitor I've got is 4K, so I'm going to have to rescale you guys. Please bear with me. Not quite sure why it's not displaying exactly square, but it's close enough. So what we need to do is we need to go open. We need to go to desktop with 3D sets Rody, plates and G-code, generic 3MF. Now, the reason I'm going into generic rather than Mark IV, if you try and print it with the Mark IV settings, it goes a bit crazy. I'm supposed to work in Iowa tomorrow, but with 6 inches of snow coming, I might stay home and play printers. Dude, my brother is in just outside of Dallas Center. They've got 60 to 100 mile an hour wind gusts, and the snow that's on the ground is blowing into huge drifts everywhere the roads go into cuttings. The chance of you being able to make it to wherever you were going is minimal. So let's zoom in a bit here. And we need to go axle 1, axle 2, axle rear 1, and axle rear 1. So we don't need anything except that. Now, I'm going to print both of those parts. One is the ball and one is the eye for it. So make sure that we've got that. That was axle 1. Rear axle 2. Okay, looks like I accidentally deleted this. Oh no, there it is. There's the second ball. That all to the middle of the bed. Now we need 0.15 structural, PLA generic. I'm supposed to print this in PLA, not ABS. Do I have any black PLA around? Yes, I do, but it's on the box turtle. Okay, that's all going to get very hard very quickly, as the actress said to the bishop. Wind plus freezing rain and snow takes down all the trees here when it happens. Yeah. The part about snow I don't miss. I grew up in the UK and I quite enjoyed being able to climb to the top of the local hills and ride down them on a sledge, but the rest of it's got knobs on it. We have some wind and snow starting in a few hours too. Sounds like a good day for a snow day. Power's underground mostly, yeah. All the power locally here is underground, and it made a huge difference. It used to be that if there's a bushfire or a strong storm, power could be out for days, but since they've moved it all underground, we touch wood. We've not had any of those big power outages. Maybe a couple of minutes at a time is the most we ever get. So rather than spend 20 minutes unloading the box turtle and loading the box turtle and all the rest of it to swap out the black filament, I'm going to call the stream here. I think it has been a great success. We didn't get to the V0, unfortunately, again, but that's not the end of the world. We had great success with the roadie truck. Let's bring it back to me and everything else that's going on. Let's just go for that one. Nick, my hair's gone all messy for you. Awesome. Let's turn that off because we don't need it right now. So I have been Phil. I have been the Down Under maker. We have got the truck to the point where it is passable, apart from those suspension arms, which are a quick swap out. It's not a big deal. I'd like to thank you all very much for joining me, for everybody who's been here from day one back in March. It's been amazing having you. To all the new people who've hopefully liked and subscribed today, thank you very much. Can I get a count on how many likes and how many we've got versus how many viewers at the moment? Can somebody look at that for me? Because I can't see easily from here. Oh, definitely, Brad. Hopefully not next year, but the year after. Yeah, trying to travel with a 2-year-old across the Pacific and the current political climate, not even. So dead even. I'm not caught. Oh, dead even. Oh, so we have got as many likes as we have viewers, which is amazing. Thank you very much, guys. I've lost my train of thought, but thank you for joining me. Next week was going to be building a gingerbread house with my daughter, but she's decided she's going to go to grandma's house instead. Kind of woohoo for us because it means we can do something 3D printer related. Maybe my Delta Flyer will have turned up by then. Following that, for you it will be Christmas Eve, but for me it will be Christmas Day and then New Year's Day, which will mean family things. So I won't be streaming for 2 weeks over the Christmas New Year break. But after that, back in January, and we will start the Delta Flyer if we don't next week, and we will do many other things. Thank you for joining me. Have a great New Year if I don't see you before then. Thanks for joining me. Time for me to hop on out of here. Bye, guys.